Hey, so let's say the finals are in two radically different locations, and you're a reporter. Or a fan, and you're like, man, what am I going to do in these two radically different locations? Not only am I spending on flights and hotels and everything else, but I got to worry about roaming fees.
I'm probably going to go on lots of runs and be cute.
Oh, that would be CJ?
Yes.
Yeah. We got to get Julie in there too.
We do.
But with Saley, you can be there and save your money. Actually, you could just, have a set eSIM plan for both places. So let's say you're going to Edmonton and then you're going down to Sunrise, you can have an eSIM set up, ready to go, and you don't have to worry about waiting in line at the airport for it. And what's great about it too is that if you're ever in one of those areas where they have sketchy Wi-Fi, you're backed by Nord Security.
Oh, good.
So you don't have to really worry about that either, which is kind of neat. And again, compatible with iOS and Android devices. And if for some reason you have a phone and it's not compatible, they'll just give you your money back. Plus, there's 24/7 chat support available. Full refund, as we said, if your eSIM doesn't work. And here's what you need to do. High five your best friend and get an exclusive 15% off Saley data plans.
Nice.
They do work daily, by the way. That does help. But
it should.
Use the code Dangle at checkout. Download the Saley app or go to saley.com/dangle. Again, it's 15% off at SAIOY.com/dangle or download the Saley app.
Great.
Thank you. That was great.
The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
So let me ask you this. Okay. I want to know right off the bat how we feel about the whole Canada's team angle. Okay. And it starts with Jesse. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You'll see it when I just sent you a text. But Steve, Canada's team. All right. I'll give you a for instance.
A team to lay it on the line. Lay it on the cheese.
That friggin' song.
What?
Well, they're not using it anymore.
Friggin' banger?
Yeah, but
They're not using it anymore.
We've heard it enough.
Apparently, they've heard us loud and clear.
Yeah, they've removed that commercial. They've switched the song.
Such
And
a bummer.
turned it up as per my request?
They turned it into Honeymoon Suite, Feel It Again, which is an underrated song, Canadian rock and roll that you should check out. It's a great song. Great song. But even like Boston Pizza has been doing this, Get Canada the Cup Back thing for a couple years now. And so yesterday, they handed out 2,025 free pizza coupons all over Edmonton.
Wow.
5 different places. And I think it's kind of neat that they got like a bus rolling around down there. We also had the Arkells, as you would expect, doing the Ice District.
You're lying.
No, I'm not.
You're lying.
Yeah,
Rogers hired the Arkells to do the Ice District because, of course, hey,
they're the only band in Canada, apparently.
They're the last ones.
You know how people will get like what's it called when you only play in Vegas at like one casino?
A residency.
Residency.
Yeah.
The Arkells residency is Canada.
Yes, it is.
And Rogers events.
It is 100%.
Yeah, don't lump the rest of us Canadians in there. It's Ed's problem.
Yeah. He loves the Arkells.
Loves the Ed Kells.
Yeah, the Ed. Now,
the Ed Kells.
and then finally there was this. Can we bring this up on screen, Jesse? Are we ready? This would be the CN Tower, lit up for the Edmonton Oilers. And a lot of people in Toronto had a problem with this because it was lit up blue and orange for the Edmonton Oilers, the last Canadian team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And people were like, I don't know.
So I think my therapist did a great job in getting me to forget about this, but apparently in 2021, the CN Tower did this for the Habs.
We were on this show and had this exact same conversation.
Yeah, but it was 2021. So like memory brain damage.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what I said.
COVID brain and that sort of stuff.
2 years, it's okay to not remember.
Yeah. I think at the time I had the same opinion that I have right now. It's a Canadian national tower. It's just because it's located in Toronto, it is run by a government body that represents the entire country.
Yes.
But
Torontonians don't have a say over what happens with the CN Tower.
But it makes us feel silly.
But
This
like
is way better than the Habs.
you can't have the government body who represents Canadians cater to Torontonians.
I know.
Then it's even worse.
And I'm thinking to myself, and people made this observation, and they're right. Like there you will never see a sign at the West Edmonton Mall that's like "Go Leafs Go." But
Sure.
a mall is not the same.
A mall is run by the local municipality.
or
You know
or
what
just
you're-
Cadillac Fairview.
You know what you're
locally.
not seeing at the Toronto City Hall?
Yeah.
An Edmonton Oilers flag. Because it's run by the people here in Toronto. This is run by the Canadian government. Like
Someone's going to put one up by the end of the day.
like you want to be upset about something, like okay, be upset, but like it's not right to be upset about.
It's
it.
also now what's interesting about that, Jesse, is that it is run. I actually don't even know who runs it, but it is CN Tower Canadian National, which is sort of named after the railway and everything, whatever. Sure. But my thing with the CN Tower is we would like to think it is one of the things that's representative of Canada. Like, hey, this is a monument or a thing. It's really just a radio tower.
Yeah, I actually don't like to think that, Adam. I don't think Toronto's the center of the universe.
Well, and this is the thing. So my question is this even what Edmonton wants? Like, did they give them a gift that they're like, yeah, thanks, but I didn't need more socks this year.
Not a person alive asked for this.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
No
because it's
alive-
not representative of Canada. It's representative of Toronto, and most of Canada would tell you that.
No living, breathing human being requested this, except for, I guess, the person who runs those decisions.
And Adam, you're asking for the specifics of who runs it. It's
I'd
the
love to.
Canadian Lands Company, which is a federal crown corporation responsible for the government's real estate portfolio.
Wow. Okay.
Wait a sec.
Yeah.
So the government did it?
Yeah.
And their
that's what it
feds?
said.
And their
Mark
feds?
Carney
Yeah.
was on the ice with the Oilers. Oh my God!
Hey, Danielle Smith invited him to a game. She invited him yesterday. So there's political unity. Listen, let's not hate. Let's not
That's
hate.
so weird for a woman who loves to be in Florida so much.
Let's not hate. Let's not hate.
No,
I want good things.
No, let's absolutely hate.
The problem that's happened with the tower is that it no longer represents Canadians. It represents Toronto. Like Toronto's taken over the tower and it's become, hey, this is a symbol of the city of Toronto. And nobody looks at it as a national tower anymore. But when the Canadian Crown Corporation real estate portfolio people get together and they sit in their little board office, they're like, you know what? We're going to light this thing for all Canadians because that's what it actually represents.
Yeah.
It's just we all don't realize that because that's not where it lands in the pop culture lexicon.
And all people in the city where the tower is go, ugh.
Yeah.
And everyone not in that city sees the picture and goes, ha!
It's actually a no-win. It's a no-win.
Yeah.
No one wins.
Nobody
no one
wins.
asked for this. Listen, Mark Carney is an Oilers fan, and it's in Oilers colors right now. And in 2021, Justin Trudeau was prime minister, and he's a Habs fan, and it's in Habs colors. It's a conspiracy, and it stinks to the top.
Yeah.
That concludes my political content for the
Yeah, there's no turning back with what the tower represents. Like nobody outside the GTA will ever look at the CN Tower and be like, "That's our tower." Nobody in Calgary gives a shit about the CN Tower.
No, they got the Calgary Tower,
Nobody-
which is managed by Aspen
Nobody in
Properties.
Vancouver, none of it. We can do the song. I can
Yeah.
run through all the towns in fucking Canada. Sudbury,
everywhere, man.
like we can do that. Nobody outside of Toronto cares about the CN Tower, and that's the problem.
Whenever the Sudbury nickel is on TV, I'm like, that's mine.
right,
That represents me.
right.
Yep.
But by the definition of the facts, it's run by Canada and the government. So
Whatever.
that's the conundrum
I
we're
don't-
in today.
listen.
I had to
We
bring
look
it
like
up.
fools.
I did have to bring. Well,
we
don't
look
we
like
always?
fools.
Don't
We
we
look like
always?
fools.
Again, like here's what I think Leaf fans are looking forward to: a day, a day where they're left alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those
Yeah.
players want to be left alone. How about us? We want to be left alone by your track record of being ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about that?
How about the players leave us alone?
Yeah, you leave us alone. Every time you throw a spin around friggin' backhand pass to the other team and they score because your back check sucked, I'm like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
This is bullying by proxy.
Like, people in Montreal should be laughing at us today and being like, "You don't even run the thing that represents you. Like that's not that's not even yours.
It's
you fucking losers.
It's the hotel chair. I won't
No,
say
we
it.
are
It's the
represented-
hotel chair.
No, we're represented by the Ted Rogers statue outside of
Yeah.
Skydome.
That's our city.
That belongs to us. All right. All right. Now you can't have Ted. The rest of you. He's ours.
No, we're an embarrassment.
Yeah, you have Roger Nielsen in Vancouver. Well, we have a billionaire. So, like, who's really winning?
Zach Hyman, before the series started, it is announced officially. We thought maybe broken wrist or whatever. He dislocated it and tore some ligaments, which is worse than breaking it.
I tried to be like, yeah, he'll play.
He's not.
last episode,
He's not even sure he'll be ready for training camp.
Yeah, that is so shitty. Like bones
Bones heal.
are actually kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
Ligaments.
So that's a bummer. But, you know, and this is the thing. When you talk to people about this series, what they often will say is like, listen, I would go Oilers, but there's no Zach Hyman. And I think that's
I
a major.
said that verbatim.
I think that's a major factor. And I think that's a
is.
relevant point.
He's incredible. He's
Yeah.
an incredible player. He led the playoffs in hits. He was scoring. He was doing everything.
But Kasperi Kapanen, you know, Kasperi Kapanen, who's got like more points than Matt. What is it? Was it that Albergo tweeted out? It was like he's got more playoff points in his career than the other
he has more finals points.
finals points.
Wow.
These guys combined, which is hilarious.
Then who?
That's-
Leafs guys?
That's such a funny stat.
Low. Excuse me while I pick up this fruit from the ground.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's not even low.
But he's played 8 games. He has 5 points in the
And
playoffs.
39 hits, which is just shy of 5 hits a night.
That's unreal.
He's playing.
Had a great breakaway last night. We'll get into the game, but I just wanted to point out another form relief that.
There was a year where Kadri left the Leafs, and there was no resident asshole. And I said, Cappy, this is your chance. This is your time to shine. There's a vacancy for team asshole. And there were flashes of it. He fought Jared McCann for some reason. And like he could still do some things, and he was incredibly fast, and he does have that intensity. He just couldn't put it together night in and night out. And it would drive you nuts. And then he goes to Pittsburgh and he still doesn't have it. And then he goes to St. Louis and he still doesn't have it. And he goes to Edmonton and he's nearly out of the league. And then
Like this was his last chance, I think,
yeah, of course.
going into April.
That's what he said.
Oh, he said that?
That's what he said. He said, this is probably my last chance.
Wow.
Edmonton is unbelievable at finding players who are talented, who are also on their last chance. Kasperi Kapanen, this is your last chance.
Evander Kane.
Evander Kane, this is your last chance. Corey Perry.
Last chance. I'd say Jeff Skinner. Well, Skinner maybe, but
Skinner
he had
to an extent-
suitors last year. There's a reason he's making $3 million.
You could argue Vasily Podkolzin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Do you know how many Canucks fans are so mad at Rick Tocchet for this?
He was incredible. last
incredible.
He was really, really good. But Kapanen, I said something in the Cup Check video yesterday that not everyone totally understood, and maybe I just,
Is it because you're too much of a genius?
I
Like you're really smart?
No, it's because I'm too stupid. Sometimes I don't choose the correct words.
Ah,
I think
That
it's
happens.
possible. It happens
Yeah.
to the worst of us, like me.
Yes.
I think it's possible the Oilers are less talented than they were last year, but they are a better team, if that makes sense. Do you think
I get why people didn't get that.
yeah.
they don't have the
What do you got for us, spaceman?
They don't have the flash and finesse.
You
of last year.
overthought that sentence.
No, you're saying they're playing more as a team.
They're playing
Yeah.
more as a team, but everyone is also playing their role.
I know
They're
what you were
playing
going
hard
for.
and fast.
And there are so many like simpler ways to get to that point.
How would you say it?
Like what Adam just said,
What did he say?
that they're playing more as a team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the team game is more because I mean Chris Knobloch didn't have training camp with them, right? He turned around
That is true.
a messy season last year,
Yes.
and they were in dead last, and that sucked. But then
Shouldn't be that.
it shouldn't be
If
that.
given the opportunity to not be that, you should.
And so now that his system is ingrained, you know, you often see that with trade deadline guys. They don't quite get the system, and then the next year, if they're still with the same team, it's like, oh, I got it, right? So,
Well, it's like someone last night was like, so Evan Bouchard for Team Canada, right?
yeah,
And it was a few months ago, you'd be crazy to do this, to you'd be crazy not to.
well, I think the thing is that he's earned it now. But we would have said the same thing about Stuart Skinner after last year's finals.
Yeah.
How could you not put him on the Four Nations? And then
I know.
he was Stuart Skinner.
What is unique about next year's Olympics is it's rare that you have a national team, a full national team, play the year before an Olympic year.
Yeah.
for the men. And so you're taking someone off that roster, which is hard. And keeping in mind that roster didn't have Alex Pietrangelo.
Or Mark Scheifele.
But I'm like, just in terms of defense.
Just defense, yeah.
In
sure.
that particular role. But now, I mean, if given the choice between the two, I think you'd be slightly insane to not go with Evan Bouchard. He led them in ice time last night. Solid as a rock defensively, I thought. And we know what an absolute stone cold killer he is on D. So we're sort of going everywhere.
So, well, that's okay. But okay, here's a question. Here's a question.
Where
guys.
I want to talk about Kapanen stuff.
Yeah, okay. So let's.
I don't know how I got onto Bouchard.
If you want to go Kapanen,
We let you go, is what happened.
Okay, if you want to go, we'll go back to Kapanen. But let me just ask you this: did Pietrangelo, by pulling himself out of the Four Nations, open up his own spot?
Yes.
Like, because that is a thing in sports, right? Like, as much as great as Pietrangelo has been, you do open up a spot for someone else to supplant you.
Yeah. The great thing is it's Team Canada. Unbelievable players are going to get left off every time. Dude, we were talking about, I was like, oh yeah, Noah Dobson should have made Team USA. You know why he can't make Team USA?
Canadian.
He's Canadian.
Yeah.
He's from Prince Edward Island.
Yeah.
Whoops.
That's
and he didn't make it.
I mean, yeah, there's like an ocean between, but what's the big deal?
You could do, wow. And there's a big old expensive bridge. It's a really hard team to make.
Jesse, you wanted to keep going on Caps.
Yeah, because we often talk about the Buffalo left Buffalo got good tree. And to me, like, Kapanen might be a little bit of evidence of just more of the mix doesn't work in Toronto. Because you see when you plug in good players, or players with talent, I should say.
How about
into systems that are successful and know how to play hockey, and there's guys there that control the play, up front with the Edmonton Oilers, and then the rest of the guys just got to fall in line. When you're not stretching the bottom half of your lineup so thin, you get guys like Kapanen who can thrive in their spots.
They have essentially the Leaf supporting cast of years past.
But the higher end talent on Edmonton is just so much more of a cohesive unit and knows how to play these playoff hockeys that the rest of the lineup is able to thrive in different ways. And I think looking at Kapanen, a lot of people want to say, well, it didn't work out in Toronto for blah, blah, blah. But I think it's just more reason to look at the Toronto's team and think that it won't ever work the way it is.
Right. So well, I mean, Cappy, it took, I think Kapanen is a, I'll just be straight up. In Toronto, the knock on him was his immaturity. Mm-hmm. He had all the skills. That was what made him so frustrating, because they kept saying, all right, Kasperi, you gotta, like, we need you to play this role. He'd be like, yeah, but I'm going to do what I want to do. And I think they also put him in positions where, like, I think as a fourth liner, he's actually amazing. But, the Leafs needed him to be a middle six guy.
So he played.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In Toronto, he played with Austin Matthews. I think he briefly played with John Tavares.
He played with Austin Matthews so quick and then was off that line so fast. I've never seen a person disappear faster than that. And it was because Austin's like, get this guy away.
I saw a playoff game where it was Matthews winged by Andreas Johnsson and Kasperi Kapanen.
Oh, my God.
And it was as exhausting as it sounds.
All right. But Steve, what do you always talk about with the depth on the team? Why can't they ever get depth scoring and guys to supplant the superstars? Is because they built the team around a couple guys, and they got to go and get Kasperi Kapanen and throw him on the first line with Austin Matthews.
Yeah,
this is what I keep saying. Now with Kapanen, like, his numbers are. You saw the trajectory, and you saw why people were so excited about him. It's not that he was so fast in his fourth year in the league, but really, I would say first full season in the league in 18-19. 78 games, 20 goals, 24 assists, 44 points. And he's in his early 20s. There's the road. Or early to mid-20s, there's the road. He's going to be a 20-ish goal guy, hopefully 50-ish point guy, really fast.
Kills penalties and a hard forecheck.
And yeah, and he might, develop a little bit of snarl.
Perfect NHL player.
That is, to this day, the 18-19 season, the best of his career. Now, when he went to Pittsburgh after Toronto, he was actually quite good. In just 40 games in the 2021 season, he had 11 goals, 19 assists, 30 points in 40 games. Man, he was never close. This past season, 10 games with the Blues, a goal and nothing else. Goes to Edmonton, I think, off waivers.
Yes, waivers, yeah.
57 games, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points. Nothing. Guy has 5 points in 8 games, playing with Draisaitl and then later in the game, McDavid. Over his career, he has played a lot with Matthews, sparingly with Tavares, a lot with Malkin, sparingly with Crosby, a lot with Draisaitl, sparingly with McDavid. That's absurd. That's completely absurd. And what is most absurd is that it makes sense in 2025. This is his last chance. And he's going to convert it into a few $1,000,000 and maybe a ring.
Only 28 years old.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
It's shocking. I thought he would have been 30,
he's not
30 by now, right? He's turning 29 in July, to be fair, but 29 years old, it feels like he's been around for centuries.
I'm going to be salty Leaf fan for a second. And I'm not salty at anyone else but the Leafs.
And by the way,
for this one.
His dad, Sammy Kapanen, never won the cup, and he has a chance to finally do that for his
right.
family.
I know. I think that the Leafs in that era, you know how Nate Schmidt said at the beginning of the season he did something in practice, and one of the Panthers came up to him and said, "Hey, we don't do that on this team." He made a play.
I don't know this, right?
So yeah, Nate Schmidt talks about the fact that when he showed up in camp, I think it was Nate Schmidt talked about coming into camp. Yeah, Hayden's giving me the thumbs up. Thank God. I always doubt myself here on that. He came to camp, and he wouldn't say which veteran.
Okay.
But the Panthers play hockey a certain way. And Nate Schmidt, his entire career, has played hockey, the way he did in Washington and a little bit the way he did in Winnipeg. And
he was very good last night.
He was good.
Yeah.
He was very, very good for those teams, but he also had some huge warts to his game that actually drove coaches nuts and reduced his ice time. He goes to Florida, and first practice, he does something that would probably drive any coach nuts. And it wasn't Maurice that went up to him. It was one of the veteran guys that said, "Hey, listen, man, welcome. We don't do that shit here. So if you want to play, we don't do that." And he got the message and he did it. And so that's a maturity thing, right? That's a maturity, but it's also one of your peers going, "Hey, I don't think the Leafs had, no disrespect to John Tavares as a captain." You remember the most famous one is Messier Domi. Domi's hot dogging after scoring a goal. Messier grabs him in the intermission and goes, "We don't effing do that
Messier
here."
grabbed Ty Domi by the collar, and depending on the version of the story that you heard, pressed him against the locker.
And said, "We don't do that
And
shit."
then Messier is like, "We also don't show up to training camp when we don't feel like it, and I'm not going to show up because I'm Mark Messier."
What is he, Eric Carlson? That's crazy. Anyway, I look at that.
Thanks,
You're right.
Mess.
Mess had his warts too. Ask the city of Vancouver. But
I'm going to be a dick to Steve one time.
Yeah.
Twice.
Oh, twice. Sorry.
Hey, Jesse, at least he didn't push him up against the locker and said, "I will not hold that cookie."
He was very close. He was very close.
The point is that I don't think the Leafs had a culture of accountability in the same way that maybe these teams do. And also, I think you got young players. It was like the Leafs at that point were a very, very young team. And then you had Tavares in there, who's not a very outspoken guy. Whereas I feel like you do that with Connor McDavid. If Connor McDavid comes up and says, "Hey, when I say jump, you say," and Kasperi Kapanen's going to be how high?
No
right?
one's asking if he's the best player in the world. He is.
He is.
It means something. And with the Panthers,
Panthers too. Like they have that sort of culture right now.
they've won.
Yeah.
They won.
What are you going to say to them?
Is this Schmidt's first year with the Panthers?
Yeah, he wasn't
or
with them
second?
last year.
Right. Okay. So you're coming into a team that has made it to back-to-back finals and won last year. They're going to do the banner raising ceremony. I always think about this player because there's always a couple where they link arms and they go, "Ah," and they watch the banner go up, and you had nothing to do with it.
Yes.
You weren't there.
No.
You were on another team.
Sure, I'm happy for you guys, though.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Don't you think that alone sends a message?
Yes.
Like, hey, you're on this team now. You could do this too, but you better play the way they play.
Maybe it'll be a conversation later in this show or on another show or in free agency or whatever. The state tax thing. The state tax thing with the Panthers has always been an advantage for them. The difference is the organization sucked. There was no reason to go there and be part of that shitty organization. Organization gains a little bit of respectability, and tax situation seems all right. It's sunny all the time, right? Except for when it's not. I'll get on a plane. All right. I'll go join the Panthers. And now it's such a perfect storm where the Lightning are good and have been good, and the Panthers are good and have been good. Everyone's flocking there. But like the Lightning weren't always a destination. They were a shit heap.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers weren't always a destination for the vast majority of their franchise's existence.
They've had 5 good years.
Their fans will tell you this. They stunk. Yeah, 5 good years, and one of them was in 1996.
That's what I mean. Right? Like they've been tortured, Panthers fans. Tortured.
Yes, with a bad, irrelevant team, and they're not that anymore. They're top notch.
Speaking of role players, you look at how Florida's built, and we talked about this. Forsling off waivers, Bennett for a second, and Emil Heineman. They found guys like Edmonton did that could come in and play roles and then elevate their games. And the other guy I want to bring up is Nico Mikkola, who,
son of a gun.
I know he's so good now. Like what the hell? And I think that's what is the magic of both of these teams. Now let's get in the actual game. Oilers obviously opened the scoring with who else? Leon Draisaitl within almost the first minute of the game, which is incredible. And having Steve's watch along on was actually really great for that too, because it just fired things up right away. It was beautiful. Now I want to get to the second goal, which is a Panthers goal, which has created a significant amount of discussion and did at the time. And during the goal, Panthers score, but Kulak sort of trips Sam Bennett, and Sam Bennett, for sure, Sam Bennett falls. And there's a falling motion, and then there's a Sam Bennett falling motion right into the goaltender.
Can I help you with that?
Sure.
He's a diver, and it's provable, and he has a track record of being a diver. Sorry, continue.
But usually divers aren't trying to kill you on the way down. Like he's like Spetsnaz.
He's a Spetsnaz.
Isn't that the Russian Secret Service guys that are like you've seen the videos of the guys doing like flips and they're throwing an axe?
No, I thought you were talking about like a
it's like Russian special
Spezza and Nazem Kadri.
No,
me too. I did think
like Russian special forces to do crazy shit.
Go to that same spot?
Because we've never heard the word Spetsnaz in our lives.
Yeah. Anyway, okay.
It's a lot of Zeds.
or Marine or whatever you want to call it. I just look at it like Sam, as you said in the second round, there's a lot of oops Sam Bennett moments.
Yeah, and there was another one. Like
and ultimately it's called a good goal, but it was challenged.
It was challenged, and it led to a power play that got the Panthers the lead on a Brad Marchand goal, which is just, it's funny.
At least it didn't happen against the Leafs.
In my head, I was, no, I would have killed for it to happen against the Leafs, actually. Man, imagine the privilege of getting scored on in the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, that'd be
so
nice.
Good.
Yeah.
It sounds really cool. Anyway, so Brad Marchand scores. And I think to myself, gosh darn it, why did it have to be Brad? And then I'm like, no, that's the whole roster. Oh, why did it have to be Bennett? Oh, why did it have to be Kachuk? No, they're just annoying, right? That's how you get to the Stanley Cup final. That's how they've done it 3 straight times. But that, the call, I caught myself while shooting the video after the game. The language you use is important. Brett Kulak tripped Sam Bennett. Well, that's a goal. Sam Bennett tripped over Brett Kulak. That's not a goal. You are responsible for... So only Brett Kulak is responsible for his feet? Is that how I'm interpreting this?
What did come from behind, right? It was he didn't see him.
All right.
I mean, yeah, I think Brett Kulak is the more responsible party in that instance.
So that's where Sam Bennett's falling backwards over Brett Kulak.
Already leaning back. I'm sorry. It's Sam Bennett. He gets zero. Actually, he gets negative benefit of the doubt. I'm going into this assuming you're being a cheater. And he falls over an Oilers defenseman, which I think was his goal the entire time. I think it was a happy accident. I think he meant to fall over Jake Walman. He ends up falling over Brett Kulak. And falls right into the goalie and gets the goal. Not just falls into the goalie, gets the goal. Mm-hmm. This dude is a supervillain. I'm telling you, I grew up watching 90s hockey. This guy is generational accidentally on purpose. The guy I always bring up is Keith Primo. Mm-hmm. Hated him as a child. Mm-hmm. Hated him. I didn't know I had that kind of hate in me as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old. This man would like... I've fallen and I can't get up on top of Curtis Joseph or Ed Belfour or whoever it was and turn into just Katie Ledecky Just friggin'
Watch out, dude. Don't fall yourself.
Doing backstrokes over every. That was the first swimmer I could think of. Do backstrokes over.
Summer McIntosh would have been better.
Whoever. Damn it.
Yeah,
Ledecky's American, isn't she?
What do you,
Yeah.
Steve?
I know.
Can I smell the Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah.
coming out of your mouth?
Oh, wow.
What is that? Katie Ledecky.
I know. I could have chosen Penny Alexiak.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Just
Disappointing.
McIntosh would have been the best.
But anyway,
So he would turn into Summer McIntosh
Oh, there you go.
and just do the backstroke all over whoever the goalie was. This man is a generational talent of shithousery.
Do you think they got the call right?
No, fuck him.
they got the call right.
I think because they called it on the ice a good goal, there wasn't enough evidence to overturn it. If they had called it no goal originally, I think you keep it no goal, and it's just a nature of what the refs called at the time. So unfortunately, I think it's Sam Bennett. Like, we kind of know what he's going for there, but there's not enough evidence there to overturn it.
That's the correct brain answer. Okay. The correct heart answer is fuck that guy.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. But
What are you going to do when he's a Leaf?
I think, yeah, exactly. Cheer for him.
I don't know.
What are you going to do when he and Marchand join the Leafs this offseason?
I rarely have I seen a player with this much talent play with that little integrity. He is he is a dirty cheater in every sense of the word, and I hate watching him play hockey.
Wow. I don't feel that way at all.
I was saying this to Adam.
That's really far.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. Stop injuring players on purpose, you dirty cheater. All the fucking time. Have you seen Aaron Ekblad, by the way, move his arms when he skates?
Oh,
no, it's just EAS.
Elbows McGee.
Yeah. It's just EAS. I was saying to Adam, and Adam couldn't believe that I said this. I hate the Panthers, this year's Panthers, in a way I've never felt about the Boston Bruins. Ever.
Which is crazy, because Zdeno Chara used to turn people's backs into dust over the course of a series.
Yes.
This
with
is
the amount of
your most hated team in
you
your
hate
lifetime.
the Panthers more than the Bruins. It's crazy.
The 2024-2025 Florida Panthers, you hate this team more than any other team.
More than the 19 Bruins? Come on.
I don't remember the Bruins beating the Leafs and then having a PR campaign afterwards about how to beat the Leafs, and also Toronto's bad in general. And oh my God, fuck you guys. Like, listen, when the stream, all right, camera's on, microphone's on. I try to be unbiased. I know there's more Oilers fans in the chat than Panthers fans, and I have nothing against Panthers fans.
No, I find them to be a riot. I had a fun time with them in the Eastern Conference Final.
Yes. Giggling cat.
Joey
shout out
from Jacksonville or whatever.
Joey Pantalone.
Yeah, Joey Pants.
Joey Pants. Is he there? Has he joined you?
But like at the end of every series, I would find myself going, oh my God, I hate you guys, but I respect you. Like, damn it, I respect you. Friggin' Anchorman. These guys are clinical. They're the most exhausting. Like, here's what I respect about them. Mm-hmm. They are the most exhausting team, I think, in my lifetime. In terms of the detail they pay attention to fucking you up. Mm-hmm. Their hard work on the forecheck. They're dicking around after whistles. There was a play, I can't remember who the players were, but it was a Panther just covering an Oiler's mouth. Just holding his hand over his mouth so he can't breathe. You're a psychopath.
All right.
Yeah.
You're a psychopath.
Did you see...
What part of the code is that?
There was, I think, Aaron Ekblad held someone's neck in the Carolina series. I think he just grabbed him by the neck, and I was like, hey, is anyone going to do anything about that?
You can do that.
Didn't Marchand take his glove off and...
maybe it was Marchand. It was somebody grabbed.
But I want to say he was still with the Bruins when it happened.
No, there was one like this playoffs.
I
was watching.
You. I believe.
But to your point, they have a very particular brand, and you're just they're the Bruins of the late 2010s, but more. Yeah. They're like plus 10%.
Yeah, but it's also like you mentioned the forecheck, and the way they play is some of the best structured hockey that anybody can play. Like the neutral zone is so clogged. It's like an Adam Wild toilet at our office when he clogs.
Excuse me. He clogged the toilet. I had to unplug the toilet.
Oh, my bad.
All right?
Got the wrong guy here next to me who clogged the toilet.
Steve texted me and was like, hey, I clogged the toilet earlier. Can you please unclog it during your watch along, which I did.
Thanks, bro.
That's how clogged the neutral zone is
right.
when these guys are out there. Like, it's impossible to get through and attack at any moment on the ice. The Oilers found some ways to crack through, but like, just to your point, like, They play that detailed, dirty game, and then they're also incredibly structured playing hockey itself.
Yeah, and I mean, the Oilers aren't beautiful, faultless angels.
Right.
Darnell Nurse broke the top line center of the Stars' foot.
Yes.
He missed a game, and then when he returned, Evan Bouchard slashed the same foot the same way.
Mm-hmm. Evander Kane is a member of their team.
Corey Perry is a member
Corey
of their
Perry,
team.
yes.
You know, it's funny. I got philosophical about Corey Perry too last night. Where, oh man,
You're making a larger point on the Panthers. I don't want you to get too far away from that.
No. Well, I'm going through all the different kinds of hateability. So, like, let's look at Corey Perry, who's another player who has played in a very dirty way throughout his career.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I ever got to interview him, like, just for the sake of hockey fandom, like particularly millennial hockey fans, because some people are going to be too young to remember this. I'm going to be like, Corey Perry, 2-time Stanley Cup champion potentially, or 1-time Stanley Cup champion. Starting with Corey Perry, 1-time Stanley Cup champion, I think would be a crazy thing to say to a man who's potentially gone 1-5. What is it like to have the brakes beaten off you by Pavel Datsyuk? I just need to know. Most of us haven't had the brakes beaten off us by Pavel Datsyuk. I just need to know what it's like to have just the brakes beaten the fuck off you by Pavel Datsyuk. He beat your ass in that. Anyway, he was going at someone last night, and I was like, I don't think he's a particularly talented chirper. He is just so annoying. He just repeats himself over and over again, and I think it's the combination of voice and face are just unpleasant, and you want to punch it. And then when you do, you get a penalty, and he laughs at you.
Yes.
Now, the larger point about the Florida Panthers.
Your most hated team of your life. Is it fact or fiction?
There's a respect there that is lacking, like from the respect I've had for teams like the Bruins, who I also complained about. Like, just the sheer volume of here we fucking go. Just every game. Every game.
Did you see them grab Draisaitl? What, like, the Florida Panthers, I forget at what point, took a penalty
That was
and then
so
immediately grabbed Draisaitl. I think it was Mikkola, and was trying to bait him into it. And then Evander Kane had to come in and push Mikkola off. And I really respected that move from Kane, because it was let's clear up the trouble here. Let's not let that happen.
Thank God Matthew Tkachuk plays hockey. Thank God he plays hockey, and his dad's a millionaire and grew up playing hockey. That little psychopath would be in the schoolyard burning ants with a magnifying glass and friggin' doing who knows what, and then leading to a life of, people in the freezer. Because that dude, after every whistle, grabs you by the collar, chews on his useless little mouth guard, looks off into the distance like a nut, like an actual put him in a straitjacket nut, and just rabbit punches you. He will not make eye contact with the person he's fucking up.
No, he just goes.
He has never found a scrum he wasn't third into. Like, again, just another player where I'm like, yeah, super talented, really great, really gritty. Wow, what a piece of shit.
Like, it's working for them.
The respect thing you said you don't have for them. It feels like when a parent's like, I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed. Like, that's how it feels like you are about the Panthers. So yeah, it's your most hated team? I'm just trying to get a straight answer out of you.
Because I have complained about teams in the past. The Bruins just beat the dog shit out of the Leafs. The Montreal Canadiens, very underratedly, Wayne Simmons got cross-checked in the face. Nothing happened. In the fucking face. Nothing happened. And I feel like my complaint was mostly with, God, this league sucks. Like, please get these teams in order. Please call the rules. All right, you're not going to do it, then fuck you. In a way, the Panthers, here's where I'm being unfair. The Panthers are the manifestation of every revenge Leafs team I've ever asked for. Like, oh, okay, there are no rules. Simply commit crimes on the ice. Simply just commit an abundance of crimes until there's fireworks and a trophy awarded to your team. Because that's how you win. But these guys, I mean, they're so on the ice during play, after play, before the game, and after the game. So goddamn annoying. I also hate that they hate their fans.
I don't think they hate their fans at all.
They do. They don't want people to go to the games.
I don't think the Florida Panthers hate their fans.
No, they did this huge campaign about how no one wants to play in Toronto, the pressure. I just want to see the theme song for lack of cheers. Where hardly anybody knows your name. And they're angry that you came. They don't want you at your game.
You don't.
I do not like
the Panthers. See,
and I can't hide it. And at least I'm telling you now. And fans, please don't take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Or do. Whatever.
Listen, I'll just say that the non-MAGA Florida Panthers fans are cool. The other ones in my mentions are psychos. But they're like, I can't with this team.
Okay, and that's fair.
Maybe I don't have the energy for it anymore. I don't know.
I think it's because it's been a long season. And I think you're tired of the bad guys winning.
Season. It's always been a long season.
That's not an excuse.
You are making me have a soft spot for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, are you kidding?
A fan group that has been notoriously kind to you.
Yeah. Like, I feel like what's his face from Star Wars.
Boba Fett.
I don't want I don't want the Oilers to win. I just need the Panthers to lose.
Emperor Palpatine.
No, that wasn't him. It was one of the officers.
Somehow the Florida Panthers returns.
Show's brought to you by BetterHelp. Now let me talk to you about therapy, especially when you're seeing the team that beat your team in the finals. They didn't win game one, but they're having success.
I think I have some unresolved issues
to
talk about. Yeah, I'm getting the impression.
Okay, let me ask you this, because we've all done therapy. Have you ever actually had a discussion about how a game negatively affected something in your life?
No.
Why?
I don't know. I'm probably lighting money on fire.
Jesse, have you?
No.
I think it matters. Wow. We're all going to act like a sports game did not negatively affect our life at one point. We're going to sit here at this desk in Maple Leaf Square and pretend.
You know, Adam.
What?
Sometimes we all got to talk about it. Something. Where can we do that?
BetterHelp.
Oh, thank you.
BetterHelp. By the way, the Steve Dangle Podcast is happy to get you 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/SDP. 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/SDP. Now, after the Sam Bennett fall, which necessitated this entire conversation. By the way, Jesse, do you respect the Florida Panthers in the way they play? Just in response to Steve's comment.
I respect them to a degree, but like,
don't
play the game with
respect
integrity.
winners. You do.
Steve went off for like 25 minutes about how he hates this team. That's a loaded question.
Steve's like how Michael Jordan seems to have felt about the early 90s Pistons. Like, just hates them with every fiber of his being. Now, Jesse, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about the 90s Pistons?
The 90s Pistons?
The early 90s Pistons.
I don't think Isaiah Thomas gets enough respect for leading a team to back-to-back championships.
He doesn't.
Like we just forget that part of history in the NBA because Michael Jordan came directly after it. But like, Isaiah Thomas was the one. He was the main option, and he was the guy who facilitated the offense on back-to-back championships.
Yeah, but then it's like if McDavid wins this year and then led a league-wide campaign about fuck Sasha Barkov and exclude him from everything. Like, that's the equivalent.
The Russian team, please keep him off the team.
Yeah, please keep him off the team. No problem, he's finished. Okay, well, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's the name, it confuses me.
It does. I don't know why I said Russia. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But
it ends with us.
So here, by the way, I want to say I do respect the way the Florida Panthers pay because it works. And what makes me mad is that we've done nothing. So this is where I, as a Leaf fan, and again, you have to give us this because we saw the Leafs play the Panthers. It is relevant. And what drives me freaking crazy still about the Leafs is the Panthers jobbed them at home in games 5 and game 7, right? And then led this thing about, it sucks to play in Toronto, whatever. It's basically a Mitch Marner sales pitch, and that's fine. Good, do your thing, because they are interested. They want to bring him in. But what I found funny, or what I know will happen next year, is if you did that to the Panthers, or did something like that to the Panthers, in the first game of the regular season, they'd come out and beat your ass, and they wouldn't care if they won.
Here's an idea.
The Leafs will be like, no, we've forgotten about it. It's all in the rearview mirror.
which is
nobody,
the most exhausting, annoying thing.
Nobody took Sam Bennett aside.
Yeah.
No, they punched Stollers in the head and got away with it. And nobody on the Leafs said, you know what? I don't care what Berube wants me to do. I'm going to kick his ass.
It's the Panthers are you're awful and you should be in jail, and the Leafs are I would never be friends with you. Yeah. Like it's just two exhausting groups of people.
It's scary. Now,
no, wait. Here's some food for thought.
Give it to me.
There's 82 games. How many games is that?
That's so many games.
So many.
So many games.
1 year coming out of the Christmas break, the Leafs got on their plane too early. Remember that? They got on their plane a couple hours too early.
And they got fined
after the Christmas break, and they got fined for it because it violated the CBA. Jesse, how much was the fine?
Wasn't it 100,000?
I believe I think it was $250,000.
Holy
because
I might be wrong. It might have been 100.
The fine thresholds to like the organizations are so much higher. Yeah,
it was 6 digits. Put it that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the place where they flew. Do you remember what happened in that game?
They won.
They won.
Yes, it was to Minnesota.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget.
They won.
Yeah.
And the conversation was, if this helped you win, if this got you 2 points in the standings, was the fine worth it? The answer we came to was yes.
It was 100,000.
100,000. I thought it was a quarter. Whatever, 100,000.
Yeah. And the coach at the time, Keefe, was fined directly 25,000.
Maybe that's where I got 250 from.
Yeah, and it was to St. Louis. They won 5-4 in overtime.
5-4 in overtime. The smallest of margins. They got on the plane early. Maybe that's what helped them win.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you got to do in game one against that team that punked and bullied you and pulled your pants down and spanked your ass in front of everyone and made you look like fools more than once, take the fine.
Take the fine.
You've already decided.
Yep.
You have already said $100,000 is worth it.
Whatever you got to do. Shut off if it's at home, shut off the heat in the showers. Whatever you got to do. Go Boston Celtics 80s, man.
I didn't tell you to pine tar the seats. I didn't tell you to do anything in particular except for pine tar the seats. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
I want the Leafs to hate a team
as much as you do.
Fans want the Leafs to hate a team as much as they do.
It's funny. The Leafs seems like, let's just get along a little bit.
All we get is a annoyed, bratty look. God, you guys are cucks. Like, just go beat someone.
So
sorry I know this is about the Oilers and the Panthers, but if we listen, hey, if it's Oilers colors on the CN Tower, you have to let me do this.
Yeah. Now let's talk about. So they challenge the goal. The goal is held up, and it's 2-1 Florida.
If that's Eetu Luosterainen, I say good goal. It's Sam Bennett. Fuck him.
So this led to sometimes the most interesting moments lead to, what is it? Ken Reed always said when we have Ken Reed on, he's like, they pay me the entire year, but really they pay me for about 5 nights of the year where you got to be spectacular. Uh-huh. And Elliot Friedman earned his money last night. Oh. His first intermission hit was one of the best first intermission hits. It was the best one I've seen all playoffs.
Gosh darn it, I missed the whole thing.
He said it was a huge call in the first period of a Stanley Cup final game 1. Mm-hmm. The league doesn't want to take goals off the board.
Yes, that's one of his consistent ethos.
And he said, but both goalies are going to tell their players, if you feel contact, fall back towards the crease because that's okay.
Yeah. I think the league doesn't want to take goals off the board is the I before E, except after C.
But do you understand?
Rules?
Do you understand though how that is a pivotal way to look at this, and that is how people were asking, I think it rightly so, why don't the Leafs fall backwards into Bobrovsky?
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
And this is the thing. I think I don't even think people realize how much of a setting moment that was for this series. If you feel contact from their defender, dive bomb.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying, and no one tries harder than the Panthers.
Now, obviously, the Panthers went up 3-1 and gave up that lead. And who can relate more than us?
Bennett with another goal.
Yes,
and I'm telling you, if the Panthers win, he's going to win the Conn Smythe.
He's got 12 goals this postseason. 11 are on the road. The Panthers
Psychotic stat.
are the first team in NHL history to get over 50 goals on the road in a single playoffs.
It's game one.
You're welcome, Leafs, from the Leafs. You're welcome.
Yesterday I said they could score 60, like smash the record and still not even win the cup.
Yep.
Potentially. Like that's what a team. Like what a crazy team.
It's a crazy team. And so, the Oilers are able to, Arvidsson's able to score one to make it 3-2. Okay. And then into the third period we go. And it really, let's be honest, the second period for the Oilers sucked. The fact that they scored a goal is a miracle.
Yes.
Miracle.
Well,
so then,
and just it came out of nowhere.
It was a weird goal.
It was Podkolzin gets the entry, drops it to like a Victor Arvidsson slap shot. But Bob doesn't track it because he can't, because there's this giant Russian body in
because
play.
Podkolzin takes the eyes away.
It's, man, this is what I appreciate about the playoffs, Panthers, Oilers, no matter who it is just the minutia, the little things like that.
Yep.
That's what it takes. It's
And-
tiny little plays.
And so then in the third, who scores? Who could it be? Who could it be? It's a crazy. You know what?
It's Matthias Ekholm, but like Connor McDavid,
That's what
has this habit of making his assists feel like goals.
there was debate on the broadcast about whether or not Connor was trying to hit Evander Kane or trying to hit Matthias Ekholm, and BX was the only one who said, "Oh no, he was trying to hit Kane. He wasn't trying to."
I think BXO was right.
You think he was right?
Yeah. You look at that play, like the pass is so soft that it looks like he's trying to just throw it out in front because Evander Kane is going to the net. And I disagreed with Rudy and
with everybody else.
Yeah,
on the
with
panel?
everybody else essentially said that
No, you are wrong.
He has magic powers, and he saw Echo. Yeah, he was trying to throw it out to Kane.
But it was a great shot. 6:33 in the third period. I mean, this is, and then towards the end of the game, you get great chances going back and forth. You go, man, this is a classic. This game's a classic. It's going to overtime.
Okay, is this a hot take? Yesterday, I said that game was better than any game from last year's series.
I don't think that's a hot take.
If you go back and look at each game, with the obvious exception of Game 7, most of them were ass kickings. And even the ones that were close were an ass kicking that turned into an almost comeback. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
The Oilers won one of the games, I think it was Game 4, 8-1.
Yeah, that's not close.
The Panthers shut them out. I think the first two games were 3-0 and 4-1. If that is what we're signing up for, 4 to 7, hopefully 7 games of this, it's going to be one of the best Stanley Cup finals ever.
It was 3-0, 4-1, 4-3 in Game 3.
But it was
Almost
4-1 that turned into 4-3.
8-1, 5-3, 5-1, 2-1.
Yeah, and the 5-3 was 3-0.
I'll be honest, Game 7 is the only game I can remember from that series because that's how my memory works.
Well, because, okay, so our stream numbers last night were stupid.
Mhm.
They were so good. And I think the difference was it was a toss-up all night.
Yeah. Yeah.
8-1 in Game 4. You're probably turning that off after about 5-1. Oh, okay. I'm going to bed now.
Yeah.
I saw some of the game. I saw some goals. I know the end result. Shoo. I am probably not missing the Stanley Cup ceremony tonight. Right? At some point, you probably could have turned games 1 or 2 off. You probably shouldn't turn any Oilers or Panthers game off, because
You should know better.
especially the Oilers, because they're nuts. But those games look decided for large portions of the game. I mean, last night was tight.
Yeah.
The whole time. Even the Panthers take the 2-goal lead, it lasted less than 90 seconds. Oilers took a while to tie it, and then overtime is just streamers godsend. Like just
It's the best.
oh gosh, it's the best. It perfect because we got a lot of people to join us for overtime, but it didn't go to number 2. Oh, Drew and I were happy. If it went to double overtime, you wouldn't have got the video till this morning.
The overtime itself, nobody wanted to do anything.
No,
Everybody was worried about making a mistake, and then you get like the ultimate mistake by Nosek.
Well, and so I just sent you this picture that Drew took.
Well, here, before we get to the penalty,
Yeah.
I think this is important to point out. Oilers dominated the Panthers' first period in terms of shots.
Yeah, it was like 15-5 or something.
Chances were like pretty even, but the shots, Oilers dominated. Panthers kicked the Oilers' ass in the second period. And what was eerily familiar about that, and lots of people in the chat pointed this out, the Panthers, when they have, and you have, the long change, are masters of the ice.
They're really good.
Holy shit. And the Oilers, I think, dominate the third, looked like the much better team. Panthers come out at the beginning of overtime. So knowing that, and we've been talking about that all night, how they're so good at the long change, the way they started overtime, I'm like, Panthers are winning this game. Easily. Kapanen gets that breakaway. The Panthers, for almost the rest of overtime, completely flustered. They iced the puck 4 or 5 times. They were all out of sorts. There were lots of ozone faceoffs for the Oilers. I don't necessarily agree with nothing happened. It was maybe not the most aggressive. Maybe defensemen aren't like, let's turn this into a 4-on-2.
Yeah, I didn't mean like nothing happened in this literal sense that nothing happened.
Right.
I thought like it was a tale of two halves. Like the Panthers were out there dominating the first half and the Oilers took control in the second half. But both teams were not playing like it was the first 3 periods. Like if you look at the shift chart and the changes there, everybody's like, I don't want to be out there for more than 40 seconds.
Yes.
I've got to get to the bench so that I don't make a mistake. The nothing happening is nobody taking chances to ultimately cause the game to end.
If I could say anything, it felt like the Panthers were trying to wrap it up super early because they came out and dominated that first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it felt like they almost knew that if we don't do this now, this game tilts Oilers because of their offensive firepower.
It's weird. I thought the Oilers were the better team for all of overtime, except for 3 shifts where I can't believe the Panthers didn't end it.
And they were really close. They were really close.
They had nothing except for like 3 shifts of 45 seconds of domination each.
Sam Bennett, like he earned so much money in that overtime. Like
my
he's
God.
earning so much money throughout the entire playoffs and the game. But that overtime, there was a couple of chances where he would just drive to the net, and the speed that he has is so underrated. Like we want to talk about all the shenanigans about him falling backwards and all that fun stuff, but like
He's an incredible player.
his offensive abilities are there when he wants to unleash them, and it's not something like you look at the stats where you just count them up, and he's never up there with anybody. But when he wants to unleash it, it's right there.
His contract will look fine if he signs with the right team. If he signs with a team that didn't make the playoffs this year, if the team he signs with ends up not making the playoffs, that contract is going to look like a shit heap. But if he signs with a team like, I don't know, the Panthers, I think he'll look just fine.
Yeah, there's like random landing spots he can go, and his career will just like melt away.
Yes.
And it'll be useless. It'll be a waste.
And he's also like a 42% in the faceoff dot. Like this is not, this is not a
Adam
guy.
won't let that go.
I
know,
won't. You
you're-
can't put him in the defensive
No,
zone.
he
But,
won't.
but here he is with 12 goals and 11 on the road.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to give $10 million to a guy you got to shelter? Like you got him sandwiched between Sasha Barkov and Anton Lundell.
I think the $10 million thing is his agent Darren Ferris working the media as he is known to do. I think that contract's more like 7 or 8.
Yeah, he's going to take 7 by 5 in Florida.
Yeah,
it'll be
exactly.
fine.
Adam just figured out the subconscious reason why I hate him.
Same agent. Yeah, same agent. Now, can we bring up this picture? Because
Yes.
this picture is hilarious. So Nosek does take the penalty at the end of overtime. And look at Jake Walman in his face. Reminds me of in 2023 when the Leafs lost in the second round.
Yeah. And Radko
Gudas
yelled
coming
at
in and
Joseph Wool's face.
yelling into Joseph Wool's face.
Me
Hilarious.
when Yzerman attaches a second to me and trades me to San Jose.
Jake Walman knows. He's like, we got this now. That's because a Leaf, I could tell you, a Leaf would never do that because we don't have that kind of confidence.
No, we don't.
But that's confidence. Him laughing at Nosek like that's like,
Every time Jake Walman did something fun on the ice, because he loves to throw the body.
What a
Like,
nail gun.
He's out there
crazy.
like being a force, and seeing him do all that stuff, I can't help but think about Steve Yzerman.
Oh my God. Every time he did anything.
Eisman was really weird about him.
Yep.
They asked about him in his press conference at the end of the season. I wish we had more time to go through more. Like Eisman had a crazy press
We did
conference.
it.
The Bruins had a crazy.
We did Yzerman.
Like
we
did that one moment, but the whole press conference was weird.
yeah, we did a couple moments.
you
But
know,
the amount of people who defended him after that too. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't.
because he's Stevie Y.
You're in a toxic relationship.
Do you want to? He won you a bunch of cups. What are you going to say?
Yeah, as a player.
Yeah.
As a player.
No, he won a bunch of cups.
Oh, okay. Like, it's
It's
really confusing.
It's such a blank spot, I find, for people who want to defend Yzerman. You know,
Yeah,
It's
what are we
like,
doing here?
He doesn't have the track record as running the whole show, and a lot of people want to give him credit for Tampa, but they won after he left. And Julien Brisebois as his AGM and then getting the graduation to being the GM, I think he deserves the majority of credit for getting that team over the hump.
Damn, you know what's crazy about Yzerman is he's not in Tampa and hasn't been for over half a decade.
Yeah.
How's he doing with the team that currently employs him?
Here was Yzerman on Jake Walman at the locker cleanup.
Hey, Steve, back here. I think a lot of the fan base at the trade deadline wonder about Jake Walman when you find out he goes to Edmonton and they gave up a first rounder for him and you guys had to attach a pick to send him. Can you shed a little insight on Walman, and do you regret that move, I guess, considering you still need defense?
No and no.
No and no?
Yeah.
No and no. Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Steve, back.
That's it.
He did expand on it later. He said there was some sort of situation, but I don't know what it could be. By the way, Jake Walman.
Okay, I guess we'll just guess then.
I don't know if you know this, but Jake Walman is a great TikTok follow. I just sent you a TikTok, Jesse. Don't play the music, but watch this TikTok. It's actually really funny. You just cannot. You cannot play the music, obviously, but you don't need the music.
It's going to take me a second.
Yeah.
Give me a
So
second.
Jake Walman seems to be a bit of a big personality that went overlooked, and this is the
he
type
did
of
that
guy.
gritty and everything.
This is the type of guy, though, I think that you need. Forget how he is personally. You need to find guys like this if you want to be a championship winning team. And I'm not saying the Oilers found him. I think the San Jose Sharks found him in the sense that he was being overlooked in Detroit. They were able to get compensation for him on both ends, and he really added to their team while he was in San Jose.
Can someone explain to me what I'm missing? He seems fun. He's a nail gun on the ice. He will block shots. He will lay hits. He can actually put up quite a few points and did in San Jose. Why don't you want this player?
No.
I don't regret no and no.
Feels like GMs who are good at their job would want to keep him, unless they get
Or get value. If you don't want him, get value for him.
Yeah. Man, a few GMs did really well with Jake Walman this year.
Was Steve
One of
Yzerman
them stunk.
2 out of 3. Now watch this. It's just stupid, but it's funny. This is Jake Walman in a nutshell. Watch this. Watch with the cup. Hang on.
Here we go.
This is what he does in his house, and he's also he seems like a really fun guy. The vibes are good.
I'm into it. No, you gotta attach a second rounder to him and get him the hell out of
You know what? There's too much personality here. Leon Draisaitl.
The Sharks really got a first and second for Jake Walman.
Yeah.
Unreal.
And deservedly so. I don't think Edmonton regrets that.
The future is teal.
Leon Draisaitl.
Sponsored by the Detroit Red.
9th goal of the playoffs from Connor McDavid. 22nd assist of the playoffs. And Leon opened the scored. He closed the scoring. We've given Connor his flowers. And Leon so often gets overlooked. Absolute clutch goal scorer. If there is a clutch goal to be scored, he's the guy that clearly wants it.
Can I be just a massive dork?
Sure.
If they win the cup, joint Conn Smythe. Make him share it.
I don't think Oilers fans would hate that.
Make him share it. I don't care. It's a package deal. Make him share it. Corey Perry, though, with the work.
Oh, man. Corey Perry had a great game last night.
This man is playing not every shift, but most shifts on the top line. He's playing every power play on the top unit. He's 40. 40. He's played more Stanley Cup playoff games since 2000 than any other franchise. I shouldn't say other. He's not a franchise. He's one man. What he's doing, again, there's a player, his nickname is the Worm, and he's like, and loves it. That's crazy.
See, I've seen his play be decidedly unwormish in the sense that he used to be really dirty.
Yeah,
and I don't see that anymore. I see a guy who's just really effective.
He's 40.
Yeah, he can't do that stuff anymore.
If he does his shithousery from when he was 27,
they'll break him.
At a 27-year-old, they'll kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's not doing that. I think he's just an effective player.
He is. And annoying. He is annoying, but he's annoying in a way different way.
On Leon Draisaitl.
Yep.
You started by saying,
hey,
clutch.
Leon Draisaitl's good. And then Steve's like, but Corey Perry.
It was a weird aside.
I said, hey, Leon Draisaitl's overlooked a lot. You're like, that's why we got to talk about Corey Perry.
Let's do it.
I like him starting the Stanley Cup with the goal is so important because last year he didn't score in the Stanley Cup final, and he actually went the last 9 games of the playoffs without a goal last year. And like the reputation of him being clutch comes from like the many years before that in the playoffs. Like that, what was the 23 season where he almost led the playoffs in scoring?
He was only tied on the Stanley Cup winning goal by Jonathan Marsh, and he was out in round 2.
Or no, high ankle sprain.
Unbelievable. Yeah, and on one foot he did that. And
13 goals.
We know he can perform in the playoffs, but last year when they needed him most in the early games against the Panthers, he was non-existent.
It was the perfect first goal for them because forget Draisaitl. The Oilers had 1 goal through the first 2 games of the Cup final last year.
Yeah, and to get him going so early, I feel like it's such a boost to the Oilers and like wind underneath their sails. Like Draisaitl, the guy who couldn't score last year, gets the first one, and then from there, how didn't we know he was going to score the OT winner? You know,
I had a feeling that sometimes a moment happens that's just terrifying. When McDavid and Ekholm score the game tying goal, and they don't even raise their hands, they just sort of point at each other with expressionless faces. I'm like, oh shit, what a wagon.
Locked.
Again, like Oilers fans, take no offense to this. Don't you dare sweep. This has to go 7.
Yeah, I
This
agree.
has to go 7.
no, but then you don't have to watch your most hated team on the TV screen anymore.
No, I think Panthers fans, after that rant that you went on, we deserve a 7-game series, so you have to watch them for 6 more games.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, every TV show worth watching, the bad guy wins a few episodes. It's okay.
They even win the cup.
They even win the cup.
They were talking about a few episodes. They were champs last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Oh, I know.
I
didn't hate them as much
finger
last year.
snapped.
I didn't hate them as much last year.
Yeah. Well, they hadn't punched your goalie in the head. So, I
And
think
got away with it.
Yeah.
And then did it again. And then did it again.
Yep. I think it's such a tribute to, and we talked about this as our finals preview on Monday. You guys said the Panthers are the better team, but like all the way through the line, you, as Jesse, I think you especially said that
Deeper.
Yeah.
But they're deeper.
But the Oilers have this magic.
Yeah.
That is just, it's chemistry, it's team play, it's whatever you want to attribute it to. There is a magic there.
They're able to hang in a way that I've never seen a team hang before, in that like they can be getting totally outplayed.
Yep.
They can look like the lesser team, but that doesn't mean they can't muster up a victory just through the way they play when they're at their best, and their defensive abilities and flipping that to offense so quickly. And I don't know, there's not a team like them in the league that plays the kind of play style that they currently have going for them that's been so successful in the playoffs.
There's also like McDavid, his entry, I think, on the 3rd goal.
Yes.
No one else is getting away with that. He covers a disgusting amount of ice. Do they release the tracking data, like the SAP stuff or whatever, for the playoffs, or is that just a regular season thing?
The tracking data,
like you know how they do like top speed and everything, but they also do distance covered.
Yeah, the NHL Edge. Yeah,
I'd bet money he covers the most distance in the league.
Oh yeah,
easily in these playoffs. Like just there are so many shifts, especially on the power play. It's like trying to swat a friggin' bee. Like he's just all around. There's a structure that moves slowly and methodically like every other power play. And then there's just the best player in the world going, and he's just friggin' everywhere, magnetically attracted to the puck.
Yeah.
I don't know what you do.
And beforehand, I was talking with Hayden about the serendipity of like the Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, and now McDavid back-to-back cup runs, and how Wayne Gretzky won his first cup after facing the same team that he lost the year before to. Sidney Crosby played the same team in back-to-back years, won the second time, and now McDavid, who's like the next on the rung of those 3 tiers of players, has a chance to win in the exact same way.
3 wins away.
Gretzky and Crosby won in. It's weird.
Now,
It's weird when the universe does these things.
Paul Maurice, who can be exhausting, had a really good answer after last night's game. And it was basically, what do you say to Thomas Nosek? who might feel like he cost his team game 1 of the Stanley Cup
He did.
Final.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam's gonna. I don't know,
He did.
Adam. Did you hear the answer Maurice gave? Because I feel like you'll hate it.
I sure do. And you go ahead and
I would remind him that we were down 2-0 to Toronto. And not just that the
it's a great answer. It's a great answer.
Not just that they were down 2-0 to Toronto. Adding Thomas Nosek to the lineup, I think it was in game 3.
With AJ Greer and
hugely changed the series.
Yeah, once it was Sturm that came out, it was AJ Greer, Nosek, and who else that came in? Gadjevich. Yeah,
It might
they
have been
were
Boquist.
really effective.
Or was Boquist up on the top line?
Boquist
I
was on the
don't
top line at
remember
that
when Rodriguez got hurt. But a few things changed that series. The Leafs were so they were up 2-0. But they were also up 2-0 in game 3. They were beating the shit out of the Panthers. You could go back and watch my reaction to the goals on the stream. I was like, oh my God, they're killing them. Like, it's game 3 comes, they're in Florida, and I'm expecting a bounce back game.
Yep.
Right out of the gates, the Leafs are killing them. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? But a few things changed. Maurice took Barkov off of Matthews because Matthews was feeding him his lunch. Puts Lundell, and somehow that completely changes everything around. But this new look 4th line, spearheaded by Nosek,
It caved the Leafs.
ran the Leaf show.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it ran
Yeah.
the Leaf show.
Honestly, I keep saying this, but the Mitch Marner and the Leafs splitting will be what's best for both. He needs to get out, and the Leafs need to stop. Because you can't have a 4th line that good. You can't have a 3rd line that good when you have that much money wrapped up at the top. You can't.
Looking at the Leafs bottom 6, and I listen.
And I
it's
like
a team
Calle
that the
Armstrong.
Panthers
Okay.
beat. It's a team that the Panthers beat, so I think it's relevant information. You look at the Leafs bottom 6 and the Panthers bottom 6, and you wonder why we ever thought they had a chance. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Nosek was a huge, huge part of that. But Paul Maurice is a master at this. He might not even play next game.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. And listen, Jess, I know you guys defer to me on the Paul Maurice. I will let
Hate
you know
train?
when he's got his nose up his rear end again. I'll let you know. But that was a good answer. And as much as I hate it, he's absolutely 100% bullseye right.
Well, you didn't give him the other part where he talked about you got to go sit with him at lunch. You see the full quote? Where he's like, when we go eat dinner, we got to have a couple extra guys around him. He's probably going to be beating himself all day tomorrow. So hope we got a couple guys at the table with him.
When he gets home from a long day of coaching, I think he
probably looks, I think he looks at himself and goes, I did great.
He puts on the fire. He stares up at his whole ceiling is mirrors.
He has to hold the thing above the fire though. He's got to stand
Yes.
there with like a drink or
And
something.
he reaches onto the shelf and pulls off his favorite candle labeled "My Ass." And he lights that thing and sniffs the night away. Like, just
100%.
oh my God.
100%. Now, so it was a great game and an absolute classic. SDPN will be participating in the Get Real virtual 5K fundraiser to support Rainbow Railroad, as we do every year. And your donations and efforts to fundraise will help us reach more schools and students to share education and tools so kids in the 2S LGBTQ plus community will feel less alone and safer in school. Your donations will equally help the Rainbow Railroad evacuate more queer individuals fleeing dangerous environments around the globe to find safety. Now, on Friday, June 27th, we encourage you to go out, walk, run, ride, or whatever, bikes, skateboards, scooters, things that you can paddle in your pool, right, Steve?
Yes.
You could even push a stroller. It doesn't matter. Get creative and keep it accessible to you. You can connect and use the hashtag GetReal5K and hashtag Rainbow Railroad 5K. And we can't wait to see all your posts on social media. We'll be participating as well.
I've already gotten some donations, some 25ers, some 50ers.
Oh, now,
some good ones.
our team fundraising goal, Steve's got a personal one. SDPN's got a team donate.
Steve's goes to the team, so either way.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Same.
I was like, oh.
You can find it on Zeffy, but all the links are in the description. $4,000 is what we're hoping to raise this year.
Let's get there.
I think we can do it. So
4K for the 5K.
That's right.
There we go.
Hey,
we did
Jesse
it.
Blake.
Yeah.
Now, I am going to switch
Awesome.
gears. We got to get to a Gary Bettman press conference. Which is
No,
really
we don't.
important.
All right, let's
we
wrap.
do. And
Let's
we're
wrap.
going to go through because there were some relevant questions asked. And thankfully, Gary and Bill they've shortened their answers significantly.
Oh, that'll do.
And after a bunch of Leafs press conferences where Brad and Keith Pelly were quite long-winded, and frankly, I wanted them to be, I respected the fact that these answers were a little bit shorter because it gets us through it faster. But first, I must ask you guys, before we get to that press conference, do the Leafs already know? I brought up Marner. Do the Leafs already know?
Yes.
And I want you to look at this tweet. Jesse, if you can bring it up. I'm sorry, I just sent it to you. Do the Leafs already know? Because I think the Leafs already know. And I think we need to stop having this conversation. I know there's been a bazillion reports out there about Marner, and there will continue to be. I'll just say, CJ Show has had it. We've had it. Here's what happened. Marner and his people sat down with the Leafs before the season started and said, we're not signing, we're not negotiating, we're going to July 1st.
Yeah.
Anything else that you hear is cool and exciting and fun, but this is what happened.
Oh, yeah. Let's get to the combine.
Now-
We've had this conversation.
I know, but I need to throw that out there.
Before you get to this, trust me.
No.
Trust me.
He doesn't trust
Before we
you.
get
No.
to this, trust me. Which one's mine? Camera 3? Let me save you all a whole lot of trouble and time. We got about a month. We got less than a month till the draft, less than a month till free agency. There is so much shit out there. Garbage out there in the hockey world and rumor world. You don't need to consume it. You don't need to be surrounded by it.
No, but you want to.
CJ Show. There's a show on this network. It's called The CJ Show. Chris Johnston, Julian McKenzie. They won't lead you astray.
Mhm.
They will set you right. It's a great show. Every single time, their information is not pulling it out of thin air. It is not concocting it from their ass. They are giving you the goods every single time. CJ Show. Ignore everything else.
Now, do the Leafs know, Jesse? Pull up this tweet. This is NHL Combine tweet featuring William Nylander and Austin Matthews and not Mitch Marner.
And then we scroll down, and it's Jake McCabe and Anthony Stolarz.
No, look at McCabe.
I know. Look at that hair. Look at that hair.
It's really funny.
Wow.
He looks the exact same, except he has, like, how does he still have his old man face but younger hair?
That's true.
You know what I mean? Oh, and then there's Morgan Riley and Oliver Ekman-Larsson and not Mitch Marner.
Yeah, that's the end of the tweet. Yeah.
I mean, those are all guys that the Leafs have locked up.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny.
I
thought it was funny.
understand.
It's
I understand.
nothing, guys. It's absolutely nothing. But I just wanted to bring that up. Now let's get to Gary Bettman because pre NHL Stanley Cup, my brain isn't working. Pre Stanley Cup, he always gives a sort of a State of the Union.
What's that award? Friggin.
And I've got the time signatures, Jesse, so I'll just ask you to bring up the YouTube video and we can go to it.
Sure.
They spent the first little bit of this talking about, they had Marty Walsh on, and I've heard Marty Walsh speak, but I kind of forgot how Boston Marty Walsh is. Steve's not even paying attention. He's retweeting something.
I was retweeting something Justin posted. High five. There you go. You're welcome.
I'm just bugging you.
No, I was going to correct you and be like, Alan. It's Alan Walsh.
No, Marty Walsh is the most Boston-sounding human being there is.
Yes.
So that was fun to kind of see him chat, and they were talking about charities and stuff like that, which is great, and the NHL's into that and supporting that. Hockey Fights Cancer they were talking about. But if you go to 1238, Jesse, we get our first question, and it is about the CBA negotiation. Marty Walsh and Gary Bettman were sitting at a desk. And by the way, as a business that largely runs on how well its hockey content does, we're not cheering for a lockout. So it's interesting to hear where we are at currently. And Gary Bettman kind of gives a pretty detailed explanation.
So, Hayden, you can't show this footage.
You can't?
But we can play the audio.
Oh.
Yeah, we can't use the visuals there owned
Really?
by the NHL network. No.
No, why would you want to get this information out?
But
Okay,
we
do you want me
can
to
play
find
the audio. Though.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Just wondering what you can tell us about collective bargaining agreement negotiations, and how would you characterize this round of talks compared to other rounds of talks in the past?
No comparison. I think we are having very constructive professional, cordial dialogue. We started a little bit later than we had anticipated for a variety of reasons on both sides. So I don't have an announcement to make today that we have a deal, but we have more than a year to go, and I think we're in really good shape, having really good discussions. I think that's a testament to Marty Walsh and Ron Hainsey and the people at the Players Association who have been working tirelessly with us, whether it's Hockey Fights Cancer with the V Foundation or Four Nations.
Okay, we
I
can
think
stop
we're
it
in
there.
a really
He
good
just keeps
place.
he keeps yakking for whatever. But
You said the answers were short.
well, that one was. I was like, oh, because he just goes back to the whole first part of this press conference is, man, I'm so good. You wouldn't believe the greatness that I've got up to. So he recaps like, Columbus's outdoor game and the Rogers deal and the Four Nations. They've had a great year.
Yeah,
they have.
I mean, Gary Bettman is always campaigning for a job. He's never been at risk of losing.
Yes. Yeah, but he wanted to trumpet his things and whatever, and it's great.
No, wait, did you hear what Donald Fear said this week?
No.
Me neither!
Thank
and
God.
it's awesome! So glad he's gone.
So that's exciting to hear. There was some thought that because they were supposed to start during Four Nations, but I guess they got started a little bit later. There was some thought that maybe this will be done by the end of June, maybe not now. But it sounds like things are going well, so that's good. Now, if we go to 1521, Jesse, our good friend, the cute journalist, Chris Johnson, CJ, asks about Russian players in the Olympics. And I thought this was a good, even though we've had an announcement from the IIHF and the IOC about this, interesting to hear the NHL talk about it. Bill Daly answers the question.
Wondering, can you clarify where things are at with regards to Russian players and the Olympics next year?
Why don't you answer the question?
Well, as of right now, and I don't expect it to change, the IOC and the IIHF has made an announcement that there won't be a Russian team participation in the Winter Olympics. So at this point in time, we don't expect Russian participation.
Period. Now, fair enough.
If you need nothing, no one delivers it faster and full of more nothing than Bill Daly.
Now,
Bill Daly now with 50% more nothing.
People will ask, how come Russian athletes singularly are allowed to participate, Olympic athlete from Russia, but a team cannot? And I guess the IOC has some sort of rule that the team is more representative of the country that's been banned than say just one athlete, because just one athlete is one athlete. And so it is a weird distinction to make. I don't know if I fully understand it, but you will see Russian athletes at these Olympics. They'll just be called the Olympic athlete from Russia, and they'll wear the...
Well, they're competing under the Olympic flag.
That's correct.
Like I understand that distinction. Like I feel like it's
I don't
fair.
get it.
I feel like because you're these athletes that are Russian born, but they don't agree with the politics. They're living in some other part of the world, presumably, and they want to compete in the Olympics because they can qualify. The whole point of not having Russia in the Olympics is so that they can't sport wash. They can't have an athlete from Russia go there and be like, wave the flag and everything. So if there's a Canadian who lived in Canada most of their lives, but usually competes under the Russian flag, but they can't anymore, there should be a way for them to get to the Olympics through a different kind of
Because it's about the athletes, not the
about
countries.
the athlete itself, and they're going to say, I want to compete under the Olympic flag and not the Russian flag. And this isn't just for people from Russia. Like if you're from another country that was banned from the Olympics from the IOC, like that is another way as an athlete you can get to the Olympics.
Right.
If the country you competed for, you would have qualified through those means, and like you couldn't qualify for the American team or something like that. So I get that. But the team thing is you're just building a team full of Russians, and they've kind of made that distinction because we'd all kind of just know like that's Team Russia. So I get that.
Who Putin is absolutely going to use to sport watch.
Exactly. So if you just had all of the Russians there, like we all know it's, even though it says
What kind of a ban is it really?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not really a ban. So
Well, listen,
I
I'm
understand
of the belief that they shouldn't be participating at all, and we shouldn't, or if they are going to participate, they shouldn't be called Olympic athlete from Russia. They should just be called Olympic athlete. If we're going to ban, let's ban. I understand getting the athletes there, but don't say from Russia.
Why is, yes.
Do they
They're
use that
very
terminology?
obviously
They do.
representing the
Olympic
country.
athlete from Russia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that I would change that, but that's my personal opinion. What do I know? I just run a little sports channel with my friends. Now, let's go to 1550, Jesse. Greg Wyshynski talking about Atlanta and Houston and the expansion process. And I think their answer is interesting on this one. It reminds me of Mark Bergevin and PK Subban, and you'll hear what I mean. Go ahead.
What's wrong?
Well,
just let him answer.
I know we can't show the footage. Can we just show the still of Bill Daly's face looking at Greg Wyshynski?
Come on,
I don't
Greg.
think he likes him. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Greg on the left.
Greg Wyshynski, ESPN.
So he wasn't.
I wasn't even looking at
There
him.
was an update on the potential for opening up an expansion process for cities like Houston and Atlanta.
You can answer that one too.
Look, we've gotten a lot of interest in people and markets who want to host NHL cities, and we take a lot of meetings about them. We've decided we're not going to engage in a formal expansion process, but if somebody wants to essentially apply for an expansion franchise and has all the requisite elements that we would look for in an expansion franchise, we would raise it with the Board of Governors, see if they have any interest in it. There are some people we've talked to more than others, but there's a lot of interest, which I think we're gratified by.
I'm never going to
pause it
you
there.
for making me
Right.
Now, what's interesting about that is, so they're saying you got to come to us and you got to beg, which drives the price up. And as Alan has mentioned many times, the expansion fee is expected to go from, which was, I think it was $500 million for Vegas, $650 million for Seattle, and that's without building an arena, right? You have to have all that shit ready to go. And they are expecting this expansion tags to come in somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.25 billion to $1.5 billion just to get the franchise. And then the arena and all that stuff needs to be not only does there need to be a plan, there needs to be shovels in the ground. It has to be built,
Right.
or on its way to being built. They're not gonna do another situation where Arizona's like, yeah, sure, we'll have one for you. 25 years later, they still don't.
Yeah.
I think that is really telling from a business perspective, because it's like, you come to us, we are not actively pursuing this. It's sort of like you're trying to be the dangerous quiet one in the corner, like, oh, come look at me. And frankly, they're going to get a lot of suitors.
They're playing hard to expand.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to look at it. Go to
And just to update the previous conversation we had, because I thought this was the case, but they did update the Russian athletes thing at the last Olympics in Paris. They were called individual neutral athletes.
Oh,
they were called. So they would short form them to AIN, which is just the French version of it. It's like PFK and KFC is Montreal and that sort of stuff. And there was 15 competitors from Russia and 17 from Belarus who competed under that neutral athlete flag.
Got it.
Yeah. So that's
I like that they changed that.
Yeah.
Great.
So I thought it was good progress. And
that's fantastic. It shows you how much attention I pay to the Russian athletes in the summer games.
Now just got me thinking of all the
and also I'm
French
surprised Russia even bothers with the summer games, to be honest.
What did you say, Steve?
You got me thinking of all the French abbreviations of things.
Oh, where they flip it? Yeah.
QMJHL and the LHGMQ.
All right, here we go.
Got two logos. We should change SDPN and have a French logo.
We should, absolutely. It'd be network. It would be network to podcast Steve Dangle. Something like that.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm sure it would be.
Somebody French check us.
Yeah.
We got thumbs up from the audience.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, well done, Adam.
So NPSD.
We got to make the logo.
Network to podcast Steve Dangle.
NPay.
SD.
You should have to use that logo on any Montreal Canadiens stream you do next season.
I like that. Let's do that. Let's totally do that. Would we need an accent on it?
How has this never even occurred to us?
Right?
There would be an accent? It should just make an accent. Just put one.
On Steve Dangle, which put an accent.
Accent aigu. Let's do it.
Dangle.
I think, Adam, when you stream like your midweek games, it's like Montreal or
I just did Leafs
right?
games, but if there's ever a Montreal game, I will
or
definitely
even
do
like
that.
Saturdays with Steve Leafs Montreal. Yeah, we gotta do it.
And we should have a voiceover too. Stefan Dangle and then and have somebody do a voiceover and run that. You're watching Stefan Dangle.
Yeah, and it's very obviously not me. It's like whoever does the Air
We just
Canada.
get Julian to do it. Julian speaks perfect French.
Yeah.
We're not complicating this enough.
No.
So get someone we don't know.
Justin texted that it's Razoo the podcast, Steve Dangle. So
Razoo the podcast.
No,
Steve Dangle.
we're gonna call it network. RDS. Is that what RDS stands for? Razoo?
So he just typed in the translator on Google, Steve Dangle Podcast Network, and that's what it comes out with.
Razoo the podcast, Steve Dangle.
So I was right, except for Razoo.
All right. So we'd have to be RDPSD.
Sure.
Okay.
We gotta make a new logo.
That's silly.
That's
okay. Nobody in English already gets it right. So why not French
That should be
too?
the title of the show, RDPSD.
Go to 1646, Pierre LeBrun and Gary Bettman. Pierre gets 2 questions in this, and they have a little back and forth, and it's going to land weird.
Do they fight?
No. Well, it sounds like they are, but I think Gary's just a bit awkward. And so I think he's actually just teasing LeBrun.
Do they wreck each other's collars?
They don't.
Do you go tarps off?
No, they don't go tarps off. No.
Can you imagine Gary Bettman standing up? All right. So what you're not gonna do?
So here we go on
throws down
at 1646. Go ahead, Jesse.
Pierre.
Gary, any update on your future as commissioner? You know, there have been a lot of rumblings over the last year about a potential succession plan. I'm just wondering where that is now.
The rumblings seem to all emanate from you.
Sassy. What? I did check with people who were there, and they were like, no, that's just them joking. Like, it wasn't. There's a few sassy comments that Gary gets a little sass.
I hadn't heard this
little
clip.
sass McGrath.
Wow.
Yeah. So go ahead and play it again. Start from the beginning. 1646.
Some people we've talked
Well,
by.
first of all, Dick.
Right, Pierre.
Gary, any update on your future as commissioner? You know, there have been a lot of rumblings over the last year about a potential succession plan. I'm just wondering where that is now.
The rumblings seem to all emanate from you.
Bars.
I'm not rumbling. There's nothing new to report. I continue to love what I do. I continue to be energized, and I do acknowledge that age at some point, I suppose, can become a factor. But as I sit here today with you, it's not.
By the way, Lou Lamorello wrote him that word, that answer. Age can become a factor, but I'm 806, and it doesn't bother me yet.
Is there more to?
There's a question later. We'll get to it.
Okay.
But that was
I meant from this back and forth. Does he keep going? No. Okay.
No. But I thought it was interesting, and here's the deal. Gary's got a year left. He's leaving at the end of the year. He's just not going to say that. Mm-hmm. Chris has reported it. Pierre's reported it. It's happening.
It makes so much sense.
And Bill will take over probably on an interim basis until they find another long-term
Why
guy.
does he have a year left?
Because he signed a 5-year contract extension at the height of the Kyle Beach situation.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good context.
I think the CBA negotiations that they're going through now are kind of his swan song.
Yes.
He's going to go off into the sun after he signs that. And the expansion that's coming down the pipeline will be his legacy that he leaves with the league and getting it up to 34 teams. Right?
Sheldon, he's actually booked Sheldon Keefe's spot on the lake to shoot his goodbye video where he floats off. Thank you, NHL. It's been fun. All right. Now, 1830. Somebody asked a really smart question about the PWHL jailbreak rule. And if you don't know what that is, if you score a shorthanded goal in the PWHL, you jailbreak the person on your team that's taken the penalty, which is such a sick idea. And I love Gary's answer to this because it's so sassy and you're going to hate it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so excited to play this.
You also can't change your lines when you take a penalty. So
so the line just stays out there.
Whoever's on the ice when you take a penalty, they have to start on the penalty kill.
And then you can change.
And then
which
you can
I like.
change once the puck drop.
I like that.
Yeah. Steve's
Man, we have so many Bobby McMahon and and Matt Pacioretty shorthanded opportunities with Max Domi in the box.
Oh my God, Max! You just have to put him out there with 2 penalties.
Yeah.
Are you not a fan?
I love that.
I don't know why. That feels like overcomplicated.
Yeah, but icing, same thing. You can't change on an icing. It's a disadvantage. You're doubling down on the disadvantage. I like that.
Yeah, but you're punishing their line mates for no good reason. I didn't trip them. You did.
Well, one person iced the puck. Why are you punishing the rest of the line? You're punishing the team.
That's a good one.
All right.
So I like that rule. I think it's creative. But anyway, here's what. Go ahead and play.
Hi, Gary. Jolene Latimer with The Score. In the NHLPA's player poll this year, one of the questions was about PWHL rules and which rules they would like to see in the league. About 30% of players said they would like to see the jailbreak rule in the league. I'm just curious how much attention you're paying to the innovation in the women's game and whether it's realistic we would ever see a rule change like that.
Well, 70% didn't, but we try to pay attention to everything that's going on in the hockey world. What's great is that the PW's
Now, pause it there, because then he just goes and, hey, the PWHL's in a great start, blah, blah, blah.
Gary Bettman have a pleasant interaction with another human challenge.
So here's the thing. Gary's actually wrong. What the NHLPA questionnaire asked was, which rule would you take? And that was the lead one that most players took. But there were other rules that were available. It was a multiple choice. So Gary saying that 70% of NHLers said they wouldn't want that rule is actually, and nobody's going to hold him to account for this, but that's completely inaccurate. And it's clear that he didn't read and doesn't care. And I don't necessarily blame him about the NHLPA poll or whatever. But then he goes on to say, we're not going to tinker with the rules. We're happy with our game. That's what he says. And could have
started with
that. I just thought that, 70% of people said they didn't, needed to be a little bit, we need to address that a little bit.
Yeah, there's no reason to go back at anybody like that.
But that's Gary's sense of humor. It doesn't land well.
No.
Oh, okay. If he's trying to be funny,
I think that is him being, he's a sassy boy. He's being a
Whatever.
sassy boy.
Okay, he attempted. Fine.
Now, 2130, Frank Saravalli about the All-Star Game in New York. This is something I didn't know. They are going to do an event this year, this coming in 26, but they're also going to do the All-Star event in New York at UBS in 2027, which tells me, well, we'll get to it after. Let me tell you what it tells me after.
Thanks, Cam. Questions? Thank you. Second row, Frank.
Frank Saravalli, Daily Faceoff. Gary, given the interest in building off of the success of Four Nations, do you have any details to share about what the prior All-Star weekend in Long Island might look like?
That's a great question, and we're getting asked it a lot. We set a pretty high bar for All-Star weekends in all sports. I think there was an announcement today that one league is changing its format in response to this.
One league.
Say the NBA.
That league's the National Basketball Association.
Currently, even though they're having a bit of a down year, currently eating your lunch revenue-wise.
Why does he have to pretend like he's never heard of
another league that he worked for? He worked for that league.
Nice.
Another league.
He was the he worked right underneath the commissioner.
Steve, a league is having a game in February on a Sunday afternoon. Two teams are going to compete for a bowl or something.
Oh.
Never heard of that league. I don't know.
Does it feature Thomas Brady?
Yeah, like what? What the fuck is that?
Stupid.
Weird. Success that we had.
I'll go back.
Change weekends
in Long Island might look like?
That's a great question, and we're getting asked it a lot. We set a pretty high bar for All-Star weekends in all sports. I think there was an announcement today that one league is changing its format in response to the success that we had.
How many more of these are there, Adam?
We've concluded that whatever we do for next season needs to take into account that the players are going to be very focused on getting to Milan and playing in the Olympics, and we want to respect that. So there will be an event the following year at UBS, and we're still trying to figure out what we can do that will do justice to the level of interest and authenticity that we and the players created in Four Nations. So that's still a work in progress.
So leaving it there, it's pretty clear that the NHL head office and the owners were like, no, you're doing an all-star game. And the players said, actually, no, we're not. And because
it makes
they
no
have
sense.
Because of course it makes no sense, but that's why NHL head office would want to do it. And I think you have to remember that they're looking at this like, well, we don't get revenue for the next 2 weeks after that. That's how they look at this. They're looking at February as it's a lost month revenue-wise.
That's why they don't want to go to the Olympics.
100%, because what do they make off of it? And so they're looking at this, and now that's a stupid way to look at it. I acknowledge that, but that's how they're looking at it. If you look at it from a business perspective, okay, I've got my team and they play every month, and it takes me 1 or 2 or 2.5 weeks to break even that month on my expenses.
These guys wouldn't understand relevance if it died.
So if I lose 2 of those weeks, then I'm underwater that month. And that's how they'll look at it. Now, that happens once every 4 years. But this is how, when you get, especially when you are run by accountants, and not the cool accountants, you know who I'm talking about. The bean counter accountants who are like, yeah, no creativity, just cuts. That is what happens. And the reality is that going to the Olympics is important to the players, and thank God it is, because the players are doing NHL owners a huge favor here and putting the game on an international stage. What does that do? It brings up the value of their franchise. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, dude, the Four Nation face-off was a godsend for the league, and all they took from it was that they made money off of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
These guys are clueless.
Yep.
Hockey, the gold medal hockey game is always the most important event at the Winter Olympics.
Yep.
That is the sporting event that the entire world is watching at once. How can you not see value in having Crosby and Matthews and McDavid and all the guys going head to head on the biggest sporting stage you could possibly imagine?
Because you can't put it on a spreadsheet.
It's
very
so ridiculous.
easily.
It's so short-sighted.
You haven't set foot in a grocery store in 40 years or spoken to a regular person in about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Dude.
But yeah, with the All-Star thing, so yeah, because they're taking it away from
And
UBS
the governor
Arena,
wrote the NHL a letter about it.
They're giving them back at the All-Star game the following year, which makes perfect sense.
So I understand that.
They actually get 2 events now,
I'm begging,
which is good for them.
And that's going to be a non-Four Nations or World Cup year, because World Cup is 2028. They got to do something. Maybe they got to find something. They got 2 years to do it, 2.5 years to figure out how to make 2027 February relevant. Because if they go back to the All-Star format, it will go back to being just a local event. And we had it here in Toronto and in 2024, and it was fun. But like relevancy, no one gives a shit.
It's a fun local
The
event.
only thing I remember about what actually happened on the ice is that Kucherov threw a fit. That's all I remember.
Yeah, it was negative.
That's it. That's all I can remember. There was no other storylines. It was all what was happening off the ice that people liked.
I liked Michael Bublé's involvement.
It's good that he didn't commit to an All-Star game, but we just know some sort of hockey events happening at UBS and that little weekend in 27. Let's see if they can come up with something that's actually compelling.
Now, going to the last one, this is interesting because this has become a major talking point. It's the CBA tax issue, which there is no issue, except for the fact that there are some teams with tax-free states and some teams without.
I'm going to fist fight you on that after this.
Okay. What time is it?
24:40. What I mean is there is no issue. Is the NHL looks at it as there is no issue at hand.
Well,
I
then
do
I'm
think
fist
it's an
fighting
issue.
Gary.
Yeah, here we go.
Steve Warner for the Associated Press again. I'm for either Gary or Bill. There's been a lot of talk about sort of the state income tax thing, and obviously every league deals with this from market to market. Is it something that could be part of CBA talks, or is it something that just the landscape of reality that teams and players have to deal with?
Why don't you answer it? Because I hate the issue.
So, I mean, obviously anything can be part of CBA talks. I think the first step is you have to understand and identify whether it's an issue that you're concerned about. Certainly it's an issue that some of our franchises have raised as a concern. I guess what I'd say is at this point, we don't share the level of concern that they have. And what I'd say on top of that is these imbalances have existed forever. Like there's nothing new here. There are so many reasons why a player may choose to play in a particular location for a particular team, for a particular coach, that have nothing to do with the tax situation in that market. So I don't expect it's anything we're going to address proactively as part of this collective bargaining negotiation. Obviously, we'll continue to monitor, as we always do, issues in the game.
Okay. Here's where I get so frustrated.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of people, a growing pocket of people, who say the tax issue is no issue, and then they proceed to not explain it at all. Alan has...
there are ways around it. You just have to do creative accounting.
There are ways... Okay. That means...
But you have to understand that most of these athletes they don't care.
Yes.
They just see number on paper.
So it is a thing that you can get around, but you still have to get around the thing. What drives me nuts is people are like, it's not an issue. Then I hear Shaq. Was it New Heights? He was on some sort of prominent
He's got his own
sports show.
podcast.
New Heights?
New
Thank
Heights,
you,
okay.
audience member. Appreciate that. He was on New Heights. So this is one of the most notable NBA players of all time talking to one of the most notable
Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
One of the most notable people in popular culture, like in sports and pop and all that. And he's talking about Giannis and where Giannis is going to go. Giannis, one of the biggest stars in the NBA. And he goes, well, first of all, you go to LA, you go to California, 50% of your money goes to taxes. That was the first thing he said. And it's not just that Shaq is one of the most prominent people in the history of the NBA. He's also one of the wealthiest, like in terms of the players.
Mm-hmm. He's also been a smart businessman afterwards.
Very smart businessman afterwards, investing in this. I see his face every time I go to the grocery store because his box is on friggin' food. Like, this guy has everything. It's on Icy Hot. It's on, didn't he invest in
printers?
Ring cameras? Printers. Yeah. This guy's name is attached to everything. And the first thing he says is taxes.
Okay.
There was a player at the NBA draft combine. They're like, oh, what if the Raptors draft you? And he's like, oh, I don't really know anything about Toronto. I know they have high taxes up there. The first and only thing he knows about Canada is there's high tax.
He didn't even mention the winter.
Right? He didn't mention the weather, nothing. So don't tell me it's not an issue. Do not tell me it's not an issue. Don't tell me it's not an advantage for these teams. I think I nailed it earlier. They've always had this advantage. The difference was the organizations were shit. The Lightning organization, for a large chunk of their existence, were not worth being a part of. The Panthers organization...
triple that time.
Triple, doubly, quadruply so. They were irrelevant.
Hey, the Coyotes, great tax situation. Nobody wanted to be there.
Great tax situation. There is no building. The one drawback is...
we're not sure where we're going to be next year.
You're getting dressed in what looks like a... like where they do those Sunday training classes at a Home Depot. Like sawdust everywhere and shit. Vegas, it's no tax and it's like all the glitz and glamour, and they're going to spend, and hey, look at that, we're winning, and they're going to take they're going to do whatever it takes to win. It's absolutely an advantage. It's just these organizations stunk.
It's an advantage, but I don't think it's anything that needs to be put in a rule to kind of level the playing field. Because I don't think it's more than an advantage than like, oh, it's nice weather in the south.
Here, it's
cool. You have to remember too that only 41 of the games count because wherever you're playing, you're getting taxed in that jurisdiction.
You get taxed in each location you play in, not necessarily just where you're living all year round.
Yeah.
And if you can choose to live wherever you want, if you were a professional athlete making millions of dollars.
So
the last thing I'll say is that there is a solve for this, and it's called luxury tax, which is what I keep hammering. Luxury to hard tax would solve this problem. Mm-hmm. And you would have teams that... it's all within the ability of each of these teams to pay into it. Mm-hmm. And it would help support the smaller market teams even more because you tax the teams that spend more even more. And instead of taxing, instead of having this hard cap, you're basically saying, we dare you to spend more money. And I look at this as like, if you had $15 million at the top of the cap, that was all luxury tax. And you pay, for every dollar that you pay that player, you got to pay $3 into this tax. So it's a crazy high tax.
Yes.
Not only is the revenue sharing better because it's garbage. By the way, everybody thinks that the salary cap protects teams because it not just evens the playing field, but the money dispersed is so much more. It's so small.
It's minuscule.
It's tiny. The worst team that ever got like an equalization payment, like the Coyotes got like $5 million a season. That is nothing. When it comes to this,
it helps them accomplish nothing.
The reason that the NFL is so successful with its smaller market teams, your Pittsburghs, your Green Bays, your places like that, is not only the fan support, but their revenue sharing is legit. And you're seeing it in baseball right now where, the Pirates have this generational pitcher and they run a small market team and their owner's a putz and doesn't want to spend any money. And until there's meaningful revenue sharing in that league, which there isn't currently, they're not going to get there. If you created meaningful revenue sharing, this tax situation goes away.
Right, but I don't even I agree that a luxury tax would be a lot better for the NHL, but I don't think you should do it to accomplish solving this problem, because I don't think it's a problem that needs to be solved, because it's just the nature of living anywhere. And that's an advantage that teams have in different ways all the time. Like the Leafs have an advantage because of their medical staff. Guys go there all the time because of that medical staff. You don't see the league jumping over backwards to try and solve that issue for everybody else.
Right.
The New York Yankees have an advantage because they are the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
And the Miami Marlins just set some abysmal record about their attendance, and 100 people showed up to their game or whatever. They play in a tax-free state.
They play 20 minutes from the
They
Panthers.
play right next.
Is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
They play right next to the Florida Panthers. You don't hear one peep
But the org
out
sucks.
of any baseball team talking about, the Miami Marlins play in a tax-free state. Let's go fix this with CBA issues. It's such a small league issue to hear these guys complaining about it's small-minded.
I have an issue with it. I'm going to be honest with you, Jesse. I disagree with you on that. I think it is an issue. And I think when you couple, because here's the thing, most of these places that have tax-free are also in great locales. Dallas, Florida, Tennessee, Seattle, places that are A+ living.
Mm-hmm.
So you couple those two.
No,
and
you don't get any services, but you don't need those.
I'm even hearing from people that are going, we won't sign in California, because I guess they introduced a few new taxes, and their taxes, New York is the same. High taxes, and people want to play for the Rangers because it's New York City. But if they didn't have that, and then your other option is the Buffalo, holy shit, these are poorly run Sabres.
I don't know if you want to play in New York City,
I'm hearing Los Angeles' name come up in places where players are hesitant to go because of the taxes.
Yes, but so
Los
to
Angeles.
finish my point, it's a small-minded issue, I think, from these players who are not thinking about the bigger picture. They're thinking about it very simply. This state has tax, I'm going to get less money. It's the Shaq thing you're pointing out.
Yeah. Yep.
But other athletes don't look at that similar situation. The Los Angeles Dodgers are the kings of bringing people to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Whatever state tax they have in California, that is not deterring players from signing the biggest contracts we've ever seen in the state of California. It's because these NHLers are looking at this at such a simple level of hey, it's easy to play in Florida. I'm going to go there, state tax. My paycheck at the end of the day is going to be good. Like you said, Alan says this shouldn't be a problem at all because there are ways around it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't understand
I think the issue now, Jesse, is that the way around it is what John Tavares did, and guess what? They're suing him. The CRA is suing him.
Sure. But that's one way to solve it.
They're not suing Mitch Marner though, and there's another local guy who got maybe Tavares or his guys were just irresponsible.
That's one specific scenario. I think across the board is he makes the argument, and I think he would know there's creative accounting to get around it, and these athletes not thinking about hey, this isn't an issue. If I want to play there, I can just play there. That's so you're not looking at the bigger picture.
What
there.
about the teams though? Because what's interesting is it wasn't the players that talked about it. He said, we've had some organizations reach out and we don't agree.
Yes, because it's bubbling up. Everything trickles down or trickles up. People are talking about there's a reason we're having this conversation right now is because people have talked about it. Mm-hmm. So I feel people within the game have gone these conversations. I assume some GMs think they're being hampered by the state tax thing, and I'm build a better team and organization. Well, if you think that's what's holding you back, that's my small-mindedness thing. If you think that's the issue of why you can't get players, build a better team.
But Jesse, it's so much easier to change something else than change yourself.
So I don't.
Now listen to this Bill Zito clip I just sent you.
Yeah.
Because Bill Zito talks about it. They asked him before the Stanley Cup final. I thought this dovetailed perfectly with why players want to come play in Florida.
Well, you've built a championship team. Everyone's talking about sort of the state income tax thing. But what are the advantages of sort of the market you have? And as a general manager, when you're sort of building a roster and attracting players in free agency or trades, how do you sort of use those advantages to sort of build the roster you have?
Well, no one comes or cares.
I think the most important thing for us in attracting players is I think the players have understood now how much we've been empowered by ownership to try to do the right things. And it can't be overstated what the Viola family has done for us to allow us to implement, whether we need a new practice rink. Okay. And here you go. And it's beautiful.
That's great.
And to allow us
San Jose's got a new one too.
To try to do the things that we think are necessary to try to win and to try to have an excellent organization. And I think the players feed off that. And they know that if the chicken isn't right, that we're going to get new chicken. And it sort of transcends all that we do. It sounds silly, but it's true and it's real. The sun doesn't kill us. It's a nice environment to live in. It's a good place for families. It's a good place for singles. It's got a little something for everybody. And then I'll point to Paul and the coaching staff and that room. And players know, I think, I'm not going to go through each one, but so many of the players who have come to us have had career years, and it's a function of the coaches in the room. So players from the outside, I think the tax thing is marginal at best. And
also, it's a factor then.
I think the real reasons are that
Yes, but it's a factor like everything else he said.
Yeah.
I think you missed the point entirely, Steve.
Bill Zito sounds nothing like I thought he would, by the way. He sounds very nice. Whenever I see him, he's got his laser eyes out, but you know, he's got
I think he nailed it.
He did.
He did. he in the first, there was like 45 seconds where I'm like, you have said so far they have a new practice rink, and the rest of it is garnish.
Yeah.
And then he gets into the coaching staff and guys
and the
career
lifestyle
years and the son and the families. And
dude, we saw it in San Jose. The guys there, like one of the guys we talked to from the Barracuda was like, "Man, I'm from Oshawa." Mm-hmm. He actually wasn't from Oshawa.
Curtis.
From Curtis. And he said, like, he's like, I'm soft now. Like, I don't want winters anymore. Like,
oh, so you can go to San Jose. It's the exact same thing.
It's not though, because the taxes are high.
Oh. Yeah, and nobody chooses to sign there.
Yeah, nobody likes California.
I feel like it's not something to bend over backwards to make a rule about, because there are competitive advantages in a million different ways within these organizations, and you're never going to pinpoint every single way that a team might sign a guy or not.
Yep. And what each guy's wants and needs are. And if they have a smart agent, they'll educate them on how they can get around the tax issue. That is because you can do that.
You ever just need to be in a bad mood?
Yeah.
You ever hate when a friend tries to get you out of it?
Yeah, sometimes it's like you're resentful. Like
Jesse,
my mom used to
off.
Are you just want to be upset at the Panthers?
Yeah.
Like that's I feel like that's been the whole game.
You're making perfect sense, and I got to tell you, not the time.
No, okay.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, Jesse, okay?
Yeah.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to hear when this conversation starts happening with NBA players and playing for the Lakers. Like, call me.
Jesse?
Yeah, I'm sure Luke is really pissed that he's losing so much more money in taxes, because look, they go Texas to California, he's losing a lot more money.
Oh yeah.
But you know where he's making it? He's Luka Doncic and he's playing for the Lakers. He's going to make it back in endorsements.
We got to do two corrections from last show. One, when I was trying to defend Crosby for winning that Conn Smythe trophy, I was looking at the playoff stats from the Penguins' 17 run and not the 16 run. And I was like, Crosby had as many points as Kessel did. He didn't. I was looking at the wrong year. So correction on that. And you were talking about the most famous Slovenians in America and California.
And you didn't mention Melania.
And you said Kopitar. Luka Doncic plays in the same building as Anze Kopitar.
I thought you meant Melania.
So Jesse is like,
Luka Doncic across the hall plays in the same arena.
So Jesse was like, idiot, you missed Luka Doncic. And Adam goes, idiot, you missed Melania Trump. I was making a Melania Trump joke.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed that.
Luka Doncic exists.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was making a Melania Trump joke, but Luka.
There's a bunch of other stuff that's happening around the NHL that we're going to save for tomorrow's show.
We need a wrap.
We're recording tomorrow.
Because we are recording tomorrow. But I figured these are the two most important things, the game and the Gary press conference. The one thing I will leave you with is Elliot Friedman said to Brad Marchand on an interview before the finals, listen, this is hockey night in Canada. Would you consider coming to Canada? He said, yeah, I mean, I'm going to listen to anything. We'll deal with it when it comes, and we'll see what the right fit is.
Talk is cheap.
Talk is cheap. You want to see it.
And then he's gonna be like, taxes aren't, but talk is cheap.
We will be back tomorrow. So it's a double episode?
I don't know if that's the
double
term.
ender is a TV term. Not everything is sex, Jesse.
Woo!
Not everything.
I think the kids call it raw dog.
No, I don't think it's that
They call
either.
it
Eiffel Tower?
It's a...
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.